Now, back to the interview from a few minutes ago with Barnes, Leslie, and Jimmy. The best of the Morning X. 99X.
We're talking to Lisa Whelchel, formerly from Facts of Life. Now, Lisa, our own Jimmy Barron was on an episode of Facts of Life.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, really?
I don't know if you remember him or not.
Can you remember individual episodes?
Vaguely.
All right.
Should we play her the
episode?
sure
she'll remember this one. The episode was, remember that girl Heather McAdam, I think was her name? She was like a princess.
Yes, I remember her.
Remember her? And
Sure.
she came to the school.
Uh-huh.
And there was an episode where a male friend of hers from
Came through the window.
That was
That's
me.
him.
No.
He's the window guy.
You're kidding.
No. Every time that airs, the phone will ring at 6 o'clock in the morning. Were you on Facts of Life?
That's funny.
Isn't that wild?
Well, you're pretty handsome.
Woo. Thank you
well
very
now.
much, Lisa Whelchel.
Well, he was, but no.
I was, yeah.
I thought you said you got kicked out of Groton.
I would have if I had stuck around.
Yeah, well, you're gonna get kicked out of here if Mrs. Garrett finds him in the room.
I guess I better leave.
Don't guess, just leave.
Okay. How do I get out of here?
The same way you got in. How did you get in?
Well, I climbed up the ivy.
Then
but
that's how you're going out. Come on, it'll hold you.
maybe not.
You get the acting bug now and then? Do you want to do something else in the future?
You know, I think I really would because it was such a great experience. But except for the fact that I have these 3 wonderful children, and I would hate to leave them. Even now that they're in school for the first time this year, I miss them. So I think it'd be hard to go back to work.
Now, you homeschool your kids.
I have homeschooled them all their life, but not this year.
Not this year,
Although
she
I'll be
said.
bringing them back home next year because we're going to get an RV and go around the country for a year, and so we'll motor homeschool them.
You would think with your attitude towards family and stuff that you would get as far away from L.A. as you can.
I would, except my husband's job is here, and so we can't do that.
I detect an accent. You from Texas?
Yeah, I'm surprised you can detect it through this cold, but yes.
I can totally hear it. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm from Texas as well.
Yeah. How do you know how to homeschool? Like, how do you know
If
how
you're
how
not
to
a teacher,
teach?
yeah. Where do you start?
Well, thankfully, I started when the kids were 4 and a half, and so, I mean, it's pretty easy. I got a wonderful curriculum to teach them how to read, and then just some math books, teach them how to add. You can even do that with Cheerios and M&Ms, and so it's really nice when you start when they're young because there's not that much you have to teach them. And then by the time they get around 3rd and 4th grade, and the requirements are a little stiffer, you kind of have enough experience under your belt and the confidence to handle it.
What about, like, because I know that you said that one, and this I totally respect, that you didn't want to send them to public school because you wanted to also be able to instill in them certain religious values and certain values that you thought were important in their curriculum. What about just sending them, though, to like a religious school where they had the social aspect but also learned the values that you wanted?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of great things that they're learning in the traditional school now because they're learning things like, well, for instance, the first week my son came home and said, "Oh, Mom, my teacher's going so fast. By the time she's at problem 4, I'm still working on problem 1, but thankfully this girl next to me knows all the answers, so she just shows them to me and I write them down." So, I mean, even subtle things like cheating, they're learning what not to do and what to do, and playground politics. So I think there's a lot of great things they can learn in school. But even with a Christian school, so much of what they pick up really is just from peers anyway, whether it be in a Christian school or in a public school or in a private school. So, at least this way, even though they have plenty of socialization because of Little League and all their classes and all that, at least I'm with them a little bit more, that especially in the formative years, I can make sure that they're receiving the information that's true.
We've got this book out, Creative Correction. Is this your first and only book, or are there more?
This is my first book, Creative Correction, but I have more coming.
More coming soon.
Very good.
Lisa Whelchel, do you keep up with the girls from Facts of Life at all, any of them?
I see Nancy McKeon every once in a while.
What is she doing?
Yeah,
what does she do?
She's doing a cop show for Lifetime Channel to be airing in January.
Is she married? Kids? What's her?
No.
No kidding.
Just
after
hanging.
all. Wow. And did they? When was the last time anybody approached you guys about some kind of reunion?
Actually, they're writing one right now. We may film it in the spring.
Excellent.
Probably to air next year.
Wow.
Excellent.
Where
Where will they go this time?
What's the storyline there?
I don't know for sure. I do know that Nancy McKeon doesn't want to do a reunion show because she's spent the last 12 years trying to get people to forget she was the tough girl from the Bronx so she can get other jobs.
Right.
So I believe it revolves around her memorial service.
Well, she dies.
I think so.
Oh, no.
Well,
She was pretty
what a
adamant about
harsh
never
show.
wanting to come back, so I
tell
guess this seals the deal.
What a harsh show. They actually kill her off the facts of life. What?
Hey,
what?
Jimmy, the facts of life.
Those are the facts of life.
Why don't we bring the guy from the window back in one of the episodes?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a
There
good
you
idea.
go.
Now you're thinking like Hollywood,
Yeah, there you
Leslie.
go.
Well, but, okay, so they want to do some kind of reunion show with you guys. What about, now, Kim Fields, we know she's been acting ever since then. She's had a bunch of series.
Right, I think she's doing some directing also for some children's shows on Nickelodeon.
And, of course, Charlotte Rae. What about Mindy Cohn? What does she do?
You know, what about Mindy Cohn? I don't even know myself. I ran into her one time in the last few years, and I don't know what she's doing. I think last time I heard she was doing some European traveling.
I remember it was a big story when, was it on Facts of Life, where there was a big issue with her wanting to drop some weight during one of your hiatus periods, and the producers wanted her to keep the weight on because it was for the character.
I watched that same story, so I don't know. That's the first time I heard about it.
Did that kind of pressure ever come for any of you? Did they ever say, hey, you need to stay, or maybe the other way, you need to stay thin and
Oh, yeah, definitely.
how would they say it to you?
Like, what was an example?
They would send me to a fat farm.
They would say, you?
They weren't subtle. Yeah.
Oh, they
Really?
they had felt you had gained too much weight?
Oh, yeah. There were definitely a couple of years in there where I
don't remember
went through puberty in front of everybody.
I don't remember
And they call
Thank
your...
you very much for not remembering.
I just don't,
No.
I always remember,
That's a lot of pressure.
Blair as Blair.
And
Thank you.
They call your parents and say, hey, we need to talk to you for a second about Lisa because...
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Oh, that's got to be tough as a parent. I mean, how would you
To break
think
it in
about
and go,
your
hey, Lisa,
parent?
we have to talk.
I know. I know. It was a real hard time. I actually write about it in the book and talk about, give it a few more details about, kind of some of the tactics that they took to get me to lose weight and then some of the lessons that I learned through it.
Did your parents ever have any big fights with the studios over things they maybe wanted you to do or things they suggested? Or
No, I was 16 when we started, so just within a couple of years I was 18 and living on my own and handling it myself. So I was very close with my mom and got a lot of advice from her, but mostly I dealt with them.
Did you ever lead that Hollywood life of drugs and immorality? And I mean, was there a period that you ever went through that where you look back and say that was not a proud period?
No, mostly because a lot of people ask me that kind of a similar question, just wondering why, when so many child stars kind of have gone down that road, what was different? Why didn't I? And I really think I could just trace it back to I mentioned earlier I've been a Christian since I was 10.
Right.
And so at that point, I really found out what my life was about, and I was, I was in my heart. It was full, and so I didn't have to go looking down a bunch of paths to fill up an empty place, and I think that obviously saved me from a lot of trials, because as a child star, you have all the money and the freedom and the access to try anything you want to, and so thankfully I was no longer looking. Otherwise, I'm sure I could have gone down a lot of the same paths other kids did.
More of this interview you don't want to miss is back in minutes on the Best of the Morning X 99X.